G'day guys, my name is Lord Tom. I'm here again with another Sonic the Hedgehog item to review. As we know, this little blue stuff, Sonic the Hedgehog, with a bit of Vaseline. Maybe you try to fix my computer that was broken. That's why the review was a bit delayed. You know what? I'm not even going to ask why you have Vaseline Sonic and get into the actual review itself. Now, as you probably read, I did have some computer issues. Thank God it is up and running to review this late review. Now, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog Sonic Water Fun. Now, Tommy, as you can probably tell from my reviews, I do have quite a few items from the actual manufacturer Tommy, but Tommy has this interesting way of wording things for whatever reason. Like, this is pretty much nonsensical in its own right. Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah, I get it. Sonic Water Fun, why? I don't know. Then again, Sonic the Hedgehog has never been a big fan of water. Maybe that's probably the why, or probably the reason. Anyway, I started with all my reviews, more or less. We'll talk about the box, we'll talk about what's inside it, what's meant to come inside it, all the fun stuff, because that's why you guys watch me. Either that or because, or my accent, because I'm Aussie. Probably, I have no idea. Anyway, so let's get straight into the actual review, shall we? Now, this is pretty much homogeneous to the other items that Tommy have made. If you're not entirely sure, you can check my past reviews. I have made others. Pretty much the general scheme of things is pretty much consistent. Interesting, I know, but it's there, I suppose. So you have obviously the logo Sonic the Hedgehog there. You have the actual item itself, which we'll get into it slowly. And we have something that I actually find quite interesting. You have a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog with bubbles come out of him. Now, anybody that knows, I guess to an extent, a little bit about Sonic, or just the general, I guess, mythos or the story behind it, Sonic doesn't play well with water. In the water stages, you drown after a couple of, I think it's within the first 15 seconds. And even in the cartoons or even in the comics themselves, he actually hates water. Not so much that he wouldn't go in it himself, of course, but he does have a general hate for it, which is, I think, a pretty nice perk if you think about it, because in a way it kind of slows him down. At the very bottom, he has Sonic Water, Sonic Water Fun, Sonic Aqua Fun. Not entirely sure why they worded it differently. Now, I have a general theory, but I'm going to assume for, it's just a theory. And obviously, I'll explain a little bit about the theory at the back, which makes more sense, but we'll get into it, in time. Just give it time, guys. And the actual bottom, you just have what I like to believe as just a general classic zone stage, which I've never quite seen. This has always been the underlining of either a special stage or just the underlining of a certain stage. I think it's Green Hill Zone, where the grass is at the top and checkered ground is the box. At the very bottom, it just has a bunch of disclaimers, nothing too crazy there. On the side, it will just have generally what it is, just another nice picture of Sonic there, just cruising on the actual item itself. Pretty decent, kind of the cartoon over the real thing. Now, and you obviously have what it is, push the whoosh button for supersonic fun. And then you have it in various different languages on the other side. It's exactly the same. Den Wush Kulf Dagen and Schneid. I'm not even going to pronounce that, but it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, so supersonic fun, which is quite interesting because he's actually not supersonic. Well, that's me. At the back, you have obviously its various languages. And I'll just read briefly. Fill the game up with water, press the stopper cap firmly in place, push the Sonic whoosh button. Okay, I'm guessing that's what it's called, the whoosh button. And see how quickly you can catch the rings in the spike above Sonic the Hedgehog's head. Special consideration, no batteries. Oh my god, guys, you gotta hear this. There is special consideration, no batteries required. Change the water regularly. Color of product may vary from pack illustration. That is absolutely true. Now I have to, as probably, this is the one I got from UK, and this is the one I got from Europe. Now the actual packaging is meant to look like this, as obviously the one in Europe is a bit faded out. The reason why I wanted to get this one in Europe, I got this fairly cheap actually. The reason I got this from Europe is because there was a piece in this one that wasn't fully completed, which I bought just to complete it, so the whole set for this one is completed. So generally it's exactly the same. The only difference from the European one to that of the actual UK one, at the very bottom you just have the logo Tommy and a little lion, whereby the European one, which is this one, doesn't come with it. Nothing too drastic in that sense. I do like the it's exactly the same, to be honest. Obviously this one's faded out because of the time, but that's that. I'll definitely be giving this one away. I'll get into that maybe another track. So that's generally the actual, I guess, generally the whole box itself. It is generally nice in my personal opinion. I just don't like, how do I say it? I like consistency, but when it comes to Sonic items, I'd like it to vary from item to item to an extent, of course. This one, like every other one, plays the same consistency in terms of packaging, which it's not a bad flaw. I just find it as a nitpick. That's just me. So you do open it up as per normal, and at the very top, or at the very inside lining, you get a little cut. Mind you, if you're going to buy this, or if you're going to try and win this item, the only major difference is there's a few. I'll explain to you. You get a piece of cardboard. Mind you, collectors out there aren't going to go crazy over, oh my god, the legendary cardboard or cardboardish Sonic. It's just cardboard, guys. That is the reason I got it. I got it for this. Yes, I'm quite sad in its own right. So you get a little plastic bit which adds to another stopper, which does connect to the very top lining of the actual toy itself. That's pretty much it. I think I got this. I'll get into prices later, right? It's really cheap. So you open it up, you get the item out, and once again, inside as well, there's another little cardboard piece. It's not some sort of legendary items of legends-ish blah. It's just cardboard. That is why I got the other one. Was because of this. I'm lame, I know. So this is the actual item itself. I'll get a nice little view of it. Pretty nice, pretty decent, I suppose. Yes, the whoosh button that they're referring to is this little button. You can't really hear the whoosh sound. Now, as a kid, I did have a different toy of this. Not this specific toy, of course, but a different toy. And when you do fill it up with water and you press this button, it does make a whoosh sound. Never tried it with this. I would believe it's exactly the same. Why I haven't tried it, to be honest, not a big thing, to be honest. I just, meh. At the very bottom, you have, obviously, if by cam, it says, yeah, that's pretty right. It says Tommy, which is pretty alright, I suppose. Generally hard plastic. It is definitely screwed in from the top. It is plastic, as you can imagine. There's the little whoosh button, and this is the stopper that they're referring to. You pull it out, you put the water in, and you just tap it up. There we go. And at the very top you have Sonic the Hedgehog. Now I'll get a good view. You have Sonic the Hedgehog there, and you have a Bandit there. I think it's Buzz Bomber. Yep, I do believe. And you have two little, I guess, bumpers, if you can call it that. Now you won't be able to see this, but there is some text underneath the ring. I'll read that out. It just says Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 1991 to 1992. So it was more or less released during that time frame, the peak of Sonic the Hedgehog, as most Tommy's items were released at the time. Now, pretty much the idea here, I'll see if I can get a good, this is definitely not going to work out. Okay, there we go. See, there's a little thing. Those are rings of gold in the Sonic universe. In the comic, they did play around with it, I believe, but in the actual game, they were, gold, but they had various different colors. So I guess if you want to say Sonic, there was a Sonic game where the rings were different. I don't remember the game. Sonic and the Secret Rings, I think that's what it was called. It was the Egyptian theme one. I'm pretty sure that was one, where they had different color rings, which then he became, a different super version of Super Sonic, which was pretty alright. But mind you, this was released back then, and they never had that idea conceived. I would imagine. I can only imagine. But yeah. So the idea is you're meant to press the little whoosh button. The air pushes the rings up, and the idea is you're meant to catch it with the head of, or the little knob thing of Sonic at the very top, which is alright. I think as you whoosh it, so yeah, I do believe at the back you can see the mechanics. I think when you push the button, Sonic just jumps up and down, giving the illusion that he's either A, hitting the Badnik, B, collecting the ring, and C, hitting the bumpers, which is alright, which is decent. And this is obviously the other one that's meant to come in, the little bumper, which I wouldn't go too nuts over it. I just chose to get it because why not. So generally speaking, in terms of the items themselves, it is definitely a nice item. As May mentioned, I do have two. Got it for this. Now the seller was pretty much generous, and I think I got it for only $10. Pretty much, I think that's shipping and everything. It was in euros, if I'm not mistaken. And you know what? I know it's just $10 for a button. What are you doing, Lord Tommy? Why are you doing this? But I'm somewhat of a completionist to an extent, I suppose. And you guys obviously want to know the what's meant to come in these items. So Yes, I do have money to burn. I do have 2 jobs, and which is what's required for most collectors out there, of course. You know, having a steady job by itself is going to be enough, but you know, it depends. But yeah, I got it for that. Yes, you can probably leave a comment saying, oh my god, why did you waste your money? But that's, hey, that's me. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, so that's the rule of the world. So you have the item itself. Now this one, oddly enough, I don't know why, this one cost me about $10, but this one from the UK, I think it was £15. I think that's roughly $35–40 Australian. I think that's how much I got it, $35. So there is, I guess, to an extent, a price tag to it. So it's as to I got this I think a few years ago, mind you. So I have popped my head in every now and obviously the prices do, you know, fluctuate over time. So it really depends once again on the collectors. I wouldn't go too, you know, super crazy over this item, unless, you know, you're like me, sadly, who's a bit of completionist. So there's that. Europe, UK. So yeah, you're looking maybe roughly about $35. Like I said, if you're not much of a completionist, you know, I would probably pass this. Go for the statues, the figurines, the more thing. Me, I like the merchandise that comes with Sonic the Hedgehog. Plus, this is a nice display piece that I have. You know, people do ask when they come over, so it's definitely a nice piece out there. In terms of rarity, look, this is based on 2 things: A, commonality. Is that even a word? How common it is, and B, you know, desirability. With all items, regardless if it's Sonic, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever you're a collector of, you do need to have a level of desirability in terms of the actual item. I don't think this item is extremely desirable. Depends on the actual collector themselves. So I'll probably give maybe 3.5–4 stars out of 10. It isn't crazy hard to find, but it isn't, you know, in its complete form, it's a little tricky, obviously, but once again, based on 2 things, you know, how desirable it is as an item, and obviously, you know, the condition and whatnot of the actual item. So it's not that bad, to be honest. It's you know, it depends on the collector, of course. Mind you, I do have another one. I will be giving that away, and I'll get into it obviously later down the track. Once again, guys, thanks for watching my reviews. I do appreciate it. You know, I do like how you know like like my videos, and even though you guys don't comment all that much, which I don't mind. You know, as long as you enjoy the reviews, then awesome. Anyway, guys, thank you once again for sticking by, and until the next review by the end of this week. Anyway, guys, carry on and speed out. Peace.